In a world that often feels crowded with alpha and beta males, there's a different archetype that remains in the shadows: sigma males. They are often considered the lone wolves of society, but that doesn't mean they're loners. They simply choose to operate outside of traditional social hierarchies and do things their own way. They are independent and mysterious, making it hard for others to fully understand them. This is why people tend to judge these guys and their actions, often failing to see the reasoning behind them. While many things make perfect sense to sigma males, here are 10 things that others may not understand about them. Number 1. They never settle for the obvious. This natural tendency to question things is often misunderstood. Sigma males don't take everything at face value. They're not trying to be difficult or disagree just for the sake of it. They just can't help but look a little deeper. It's like when you get a too good to be true offer, and while some might jump right in, they're the ones who'd stop and think twice. They value proof over promises and experience over hearsay. When everyone else might get swept up in the excitement, they stay grounded and ask the hard questions. People may see this as negativity or doubt, but it's really about being careful. They're not about to climb on every bandwagon that rolls by. Just because a lot of people believe something doesn't mean they will too, without some solid evidence. In their minds, it's better to be safe than sorry. They apply this careful thinking to all parts of their life, from the news they read to the people they meet. It might make them seem distant or even a bit cynical, but that's okay with them. They'd rather be sure than sorry. It's just how they are. Number 2. They are not antisocial, just selectively social. People think if you don't talk much or hang out with everyone, you don't like being around people. Despite the misconception, preferring a tight circle of friends isn't being antisocial, it's being selectively social. Sigma males actually like making friends and talking to people, but they're picky. They won't spend time with just anyone. It's not about being unfriendly. It's about valuing the depth and quality of interactions. They enjoy deep talks with a few close friends more than being at a big party with lots of noise. Many won't understand their choice to remain quiet in group settings. They're often listening, processing, and choosing when and with whom to engage. They reserve their time and energy for situations that feel genuine and conversations that stimulate their intellect. It's not that they don't appreciate others. They're just deliberate in who they share their world with. Their social selectivity isn't a rejection of others. It's an embrace of themselves and their personal preferences. They find satisfaction in interactions that resonate with their core, rather than conforming to social norms for the sake of popularity. This unique approach to social life can be puzzling to those who thrive in bustling social scenes. However, for Sigmas, it's a path to fulfilling and authentic relationships. Number 3. They are unconcerned with social hierarchy. Most men are obsessed with social hierarchies, and for good reason. It's how they define themselves in terms of power and privilege. They are constantly comparing themselves, trying to climb the ladder and gain status, never satisfied with their position. However, Sigma males are not interested in this game. They don't feel the need to prove themselves or compete with others for validation. Unlike the alpha male who often thrives at the top of the social ladder, Sigma males remain indifferent to hierarchies. They do not seek leadership for the sake of status, and they certainly don't follow just to fit in. Their self-worth is not dependent on where they stand among their peers, making them immune to the pressures of social expectations. They simply do what they believe is right, regardless of how others may perceive them. While this might be a bit confusing for some, it also puts them at odds with those in power. But not because they are rebellious, but because they are able to see through the game and reject it. Sigma males are not interested in being part of a system that dooms them to a constant state of comparison and competition. It's a rat race where the goalposts keep moving, and everyone is trying to outdo each other, leaving little time for genuine connection or personal fulfillment. This is why they often choose to remain outsiders, observing from a distance rather than participating. People may mistake this for arrogance or aloofness, but it's simply a conscious choice not to be consumed by the game. Number 4. Low-key presence. Many might mistake a quiet demeanor for a lack of confidence or interest, but for those with a Sigma personality, a low-key presence is a deliberate choice. They usually avoid the spotlight and prefer not to attract unnecessary attention to themselves. This isn't because they lack the qualities to stand out, but because they value their privacy and find strength in subtlety. Just like the quiet strength of a silent observer at a meeting, fully aware and present yet choosing their moments to contribute, Sigma males navigate social spaces without fanfare. Their ability to stay low-key in a world that constantly seeks to be noticed can be baffling to some, but it actually shows a deep sense of confidence and a thoughtful way of dealing with people. Their impact is usually more felt than seen, making the difference through thoughtful actions and insights rather than loud statements. This subtle way of social engagement doesn't mean they're fading away. It's actually a strategic way of confidently living life on their own terms. Number 5. They prioritize independence over social validation. Some people need others to say they're doing a good job, or they feel like they're not good enough. But there are some individuals who don't look for this thumbs up from everyone. They feel good doing things on their own. They'd rather be by themselves than do something just because everyone else is doing it. They find their own path and stick to it, no matter what. They're not trying to be different. They just feel better when they make their own choices. They like to know that what they do is because they want to, not because they are looking for someone to tell them it's right. To others, this might seem like they don't care about friends or what people think. But they just like to be sure of themselves and don't need a crowd to feel happy or successful. They get their power from standing alone without needing someone to hold their hand. It's not them being stubborn. They just trust themselves a lot and know what's best for them. Number 6. Non-reactive nature. One thing that often puzzles people about Sigma males is why they don't react much. It might be during an argument, or when something unexpected happens. Some might think they just don't care or don't have feelings like everyone else. But Sigma males just have a different way of processing things. They stay calm and don't let emotions get the better of them. They believe in looking at the situation from all sides before reacting. They're not cold or robotic. They feel emotions like anger or excitement, but they choose not to show it immediately. This can make them seem tough to some, but it's not about being tough. They just don't want to do or say something they'll regret later. So they step back and think things through, keeping a cool head. This careful approach can really help them avoid a lot of drama. But others might misread it and think they're not interested or involved. The truth is, they just prefer to handle things in a quiet, steady way. Instead of letting their emotions take over, they figured out the hard way that sometimes it's just better not to react at all. Number 7. Strategic silence. When a man doesn't talk, others might think he's angry or doesn't know what to say. But that's not always true. Sigma males just like to stay quiet on purpose. They're not sad or empty-headed. They're being smart about when they talk. They know that sometimes it's better not to say anything at all. They listen and pay attention to what's happening, and then they think hard before they say something. By doing this, they make sure that when they do speak, it's important, and people will listen. It's like when you're playing hide and seek and stay super quiet so no one can find you. Sigma males stay quiet to watch what's happening around them and learn from it. They're not ignoring people. They're just waiting for the right moment to jump into the talk. They like to sit back and understand everything before they join in. It's a special way they do things, and it can make them really good at figuring stuff out. So just because they're not always talking doesn't mean they have nothing to say. They're just waiting for just the right time to say it. Number 8. Unconventional thinking. Thinking outside the box is second nature to these individuals. They're not afraid to challenge the status quo or come up with ideas that might seem strange to others. It's like taking a path through the forest that no one else sees. It might be unconventional, but it can also lead to some amazing discoveries. They trust their instincts and are not worried if their way of thinking isn't the norm. It's more important to be genuine and inventive than to simply go along with the crowd. While others might follow a well-worn path, they prefer to carve out their own, exploring possibilities others might overlook. It's not about being oppositional. It's about allowing their creativity and insight to guide them. This unique approach might leave others puzzled, wondering why they're not just doing things the easy or accepted way. But it's not about being contrary for the sake of it. It's about seeing things differently and being true to their vision. It's not unusual for them to come up with solutions or ideas that initially seem odd to others. However, these ideas often gain traction over time, and what was once dismissed as unconventional may become the next big thing. This forward-thinking mindset might make them seem detached from current trends, but in reality, they're just ahead of the curve, and that's a place they're quite comfortable being. Number 9. Unapologetic authenticity. Genuine to the core, they defy social norms not to make a statement, but because it's who they are. This authentic self-expression is often misunderstood. People may expect everyone to follow certain scripts or play specific roles, especially in social settings or the professional world. But for individuals deeply grounded in their identity, wearing a mask is not an option. They live in alignment with their values and beliefs, unaffected by the latest fads or the pressure to conform. Their integrity can sometimes be seen as rebellious or non-compliant, making it tricky to blend in. They don't necessarily seek approval, and that can leave others perplexed. The idea is not to be deliberately contrary, but to maintain a sense of genuine self without succumbing to external influences. Being true to oneself in a world that often rewards conformity requires courage and conviction. Sigma males would rather stand alone than be part of a crowd that doesn't reflect their authentic selves. Their unapologetic authenticity isn't always easy to understand, but it's what sets them apart. Number 10. Intelligent observation. This is more than just watching. It's about understanding the big picture and the tiny details others might miss. They're the ones who notice patterns in behavior, shifts in dynamics, and can read between the lines of what's being said and what's actually meant. The depth of their observation often leads to insights that can seem like intuition or even foresight. It's not that they're always sitting back and analyzing. They're simply attuned to their environment in a way that's different from most. Their minds are constantly connecting dots, making them excellent problem solvers. While it might seem like they're lost in thought or disengaged, they're actively piecing together information in a meaningful way. This trait can be misunderstood as being overly critical or judgmental, but that's not the case. They use this skill to understand life better, avoid pitfalls, and make informed decisions. They're not trying to outsmart anyone or show off how wise they are. It's a natural process for them, one that's as involuntary as breathing.